Hey Cal fans, and welcome back to the football film study here on Right for California. This year's big game was pretty rough for Bear fans, but one bright spot that did come out of it was the emergence of true freshman running back Damian Moore, who became the first Cal back to rush for 100 yards this season, gaining 121 yards on just 10 carries, and in this video, we'll see how he did it. This is part of a longer study of the Cal offense in this game, and so if you want to see more about the passing game and why the Bears weren't able to turn Moore's big game on the ground into a more consistent offensive performance, you can find that Friday morning on patreon.com/Burke18. When we look at Moore's rushes, something that stands out is that the vast majority of his rushing yardage came on one specific blocking scheme run out of one specific formation. And we see here that the Bears are ready to rock and roll with this right off the bat. This is the first play of the game, although here they're running it with Dancy instead of Moore. Moore was the primary guy that they used to run what we're about to see. So what was this specific formation? There are two features that are important to note about it. First, the Bears have two tight ends up here at the top of the screen, and then they've got two wide receivers down here at the bottom of the screen. And the reason that this distribution is important is because of what Stanford's doing with their personnel and what they're doing with their coverage. So when Cal comes out with two tight ends like this is a very run-heavy personnel grouping. You'd expect a lot of plays on the ground here. Stanford's going to meet that run-heavy set with their base 3-4 package. So here we see their three down linemen. They've got an outside linebacker here, two inside linebackers stacked behind them, and then this guy is an outside linebacker walked out toward this slot receiver. And what this means, there is no way that Stanford wants a 230-pound outside linebacker to cover a guy like Kekoa Crawford or Makai Polk or Nico Remigio in any meaningful way. And so what this means is that even though this guy's walked out, we're going to see after the snap, he's in the run fit. He's really doing what you would expect an outside linebacker to do. And that means that Stanford has to spin their safeties. Here we can see one of them. They're going to have to spin their safeties toward this receiver in order to get an extra defensive back covering on this guy right here. So what we're going to see at the snap is that this safety comes down a little bit so that he can be the primary coverage defender on this slot receiver. And when this safety rolls down, Stanford, unless they don't want to play with any deep safeties, which is a little bit more risky than they'd usually like to go with, that means they're going to have to play with their other safeties somewhere in the deep middle of the field. So they're spinning their safeties down to the two receiver side here. And what that means is that they are not spinning their secondary toward the two tight end surface. That's significant because on this play, Cal is going to run straight to those two tight ends. All right, so now we've talked about Cal's formation and what that does to Stanford's defense. Now we're ready to get into the actual blocking scheme. Once again, the key feature here is going to be these two tight ends lined up at the top of the screen. And what those tight ends really do is they create an awful lot of gaps to the right side of center here. If we look to the right of center, we see that Cal's got four blockers, two offensive linemen, and two tight ends. That's going to create a total of 5 gaps. And Stanford's got exactly that number of guys who can potentially get to that side of the formation right here, but they don't have anybody else. Remember, the reason they don't have anybody else is because they have to spin their secondary toward the side of this slot receiver. They have to be able to get a safety down over this slot receiver in coverage, which means that they're going to spin their safeties toward the side of the two receiver surface and away from the two tight end side. That'll make it very hard for them to bring a safety down as an extra defender to the side of the two tight ends to defend the run. So Stanford is going to need all 5 of these guys. They're going to need them each to take away a gap in order to shut down the run here. Now, the way that Cal's attacking this alignment is that they are running something called a pin and pull zone play. So obviously there are 2 parts of that, the pin and the pull. Which of those options each blocker does is not going to be predetermined by the play call. It's going to be based on how the defense lines up. So let's say that I'm this wing tight end right here. Okay, I'm going to look down to my inside gap, to the gap that's to the inside of my alignment. And in this case, if I'm this wing tight end, I see that this outside linebacker is lined up inside of me. He's lined up in my inside gap. So if I look down inside and I see a defender there, then I'm going to be pinning, which just means I'm going to take advantage of the fact that he's already lined up inside me. I'm going to seal him off to the inside. So here we can watch that wing tight end. He's going to seal off that outside linebacker, just take advantage of that leverage that that guy has because of his alignment, seal him off to the inside. And the same thing is going to go for this inline tight end. He's going to look down to the gap inside him. He's going to see this defensive end there, and so he too is going to pin that guy. Okay, now on this play, Cal's going to use their center to block this nose tackle right here. So that really leaves the right guard and the right tackle with no defenders that they need to worry about to the inside. We know the two tight ends are going to be pinning these two defenders. We know that the center is he's ultimately going to cut this nose tackle. So that just leaves the right guard and right tackle with no one lined up in their inside gap that they have to worry about. And so they are going to be the pullers on this play. So they're going to pull around the edge of those pin blocks from the two tight ends, and that's going to give Cal one puller for the cornerback and another puller for this linebacker right here. So now we're going to focus on the right guard and right tackle as the tight ends pin and seal the defense off down inside. Those two guys are pulling to take out these two defenders right here. So let's run this forward. Okay, there's the pin right there. Those guys are all sealed off to the inside. Here come the two pullers. The right tackle is going to come out and blast out that defensive back. Boom. And the right guard is going to lead up and seal off this inside linebacker. And that's where your lane develops right in between those two pullers. So let's take a look at that one more time just to see how it goes. The two tight ends look down to their inside gaps. They see they've got two defenders there, so they are going to pin. The center is going to cut block the nose tackle here, and that's going to free up the right guard and right tackle to pull around the edge where they're going to take out these two defenders right here. So we'll see each component of that one more time. There's the pin by the two tight ends. Here come the two pullers. Right tackle blasts out the defensive back, and then here comes the right guard to seal off this linebacker. That's the lane that the running back's going to hit. So this is the kind of thing that Cal had tremendous success with against Stanford, and now we kind of understand how the formation and the run blocking scheme tie together in order to produce some of these big gains. Now, this play was run by Marcel Dancy. We're going to move on and see Damian Moore on all the other examples, but before we do that, I want to take a look at Stanford's alignment right here and show a little bit about why this play was so successful. And really, it comes down to where these inside linebackers are lined up. So if we look at this guy right here, we see he's pretty much directly over the ball. He's playing over the center, and we see that the other inside linebacker is actually lined up outside of the left tackle. So these inside linebackers are shifted toward the two receiver side, and that's going to prevent this guy, for example, from really getting to this run play, this working away from him. So Stanford, they're gonna see this play. They're gonna see the potential that it has as long as they're lining up like this. They're gonna come back with adjustments, and so now we're gonna get our first look at Damian Moore running this play, and we're gonna see the kind of thing that he can bring to the table. So what has Stanford done here? Remember, on the last play, we saw that these two inside linebackers were shifted over. Now this guy is no longer directly over the ball. He's very clearly to the two tight end side. This inside linebacker is no longer lined up outside the offensive tackle. He's also shifted a lot closer to those two tight ends. So what Stanford's doing is they're giving themselves the ability to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defenders to those two tight ends. That's going to help them make up for the fact that they can't necessarily spin this safety down into the box as an extra defender. So in lieu of rotating their coverage away from this two receiver side, they're going to shift their front toward the two tight end side, and we're going to see that that's going to cause this play to be a little bit less wide open than it was before. So a nice front adjustment by Stanford, but Cal's going to get some nice play by Damian Moore up here as the dot back. So this is going to be the exact same blocking scheme that we just saw. The two tight ends are going to look down to their inside gap. They're going to see these two defenders, and they're going to pin them exactly as we saw in the last play. So there are those pin blocks developing on the edge. Meanwhile, the left tackle and left guard are going to pull around those blocks, and they're going to get up to this defensive back who's got kind of contained on the outside, and to this inside linebacker exactly as we saw in the last play. So here's the snap. There are the pin blocks. Here come those two pullers. Okay, and they take out the cornerback and the play side inside linebacker, as we can see right here. So they kind of create that left edge of the hole. Now, remember that Stanford shifted their inside linebackers here toward the two tight end side. They've made a front adjustment. And so the guy we really need to watch is this guy right here, because he is number 6 out of these guys who could potentially get to the two tight end side. So as we watch on this play, ideally Cal would want their right guard here to be able to get up to that guy and cut him off and preventing him from coming across the play. But here, that right guard is going to get tied up a little bit with the nose tackle and helping the center. So this backside linebacker is going to be free to run across the formation unblocked. So one more time, the reason this guy gets across the formation is A, because of his alignment. Stanford's made that adjustment. But also the right guard right here, instead of getting up to him and cutting him off, is going to get tied up with the nose tackle helping out the center. And so that's going to free this guy up to insert as the extra defender to the play side and be completely unblocked. Now, when Moore comes through this lane that's developing, there's going to be one more defender than there was on the last play, and he's got him lined up for a tackle after only a short gain, but Moore's going to hit him with a stiff arm, get him down on the ground, and continue on to pick up the first down. So a nice little bit of physicality, especially from a true freshman running back. He's kind of using physicality to make up for the fact that Stanford shifted their front over toward the side of the play side. He's able to account for this extra linebacker, even though Cal can't technically get a blocker on him. A nice feature of this pin and pull zone play is that it is very adaptable to different kinds of fronts. So here Stanford's in a different adjustment. They're lined up in a different kind of way. They've still got this outside linebacker playing inside of this wing tight end. This wing tight end's still going to be trying to seal that guy. But the difference is that now Stanford's taken this defensive end and they've put him inside of the left tackle. So what that means is that, if we think back to our pin and pull rules, if you look down to your inside gap and you see a defender there, then you become a pinner. So now the left tackle, instead of pulling, as he's done on the last two plays, he's going to pin this guy down inside. In this case, the inline tight end here doesn't have a guy inside that he needs to pin, so he's going to release straight up to this inside linebacker. That's different from what he's been doing on previous plays. So let's just watch the play side here. We're going to see the wing tight end trying to pin this outside linebacker. The inline tight end doesn't have a guy directly inside him, so he's going to release up to this inside linebacker, and then the left tackle is going to try to pin this defensive end right here. So here we go. There are those blocks. There's the left tackle pinning. Here goes the inline tight end releasing up to that inside linebacker right there. And here we see the wing tight end trying to wrangle that outside linebacker and seal him off to the inside. And he locks him up even though he doesn't necessarily pin him down inside. And that means that on this play, Cal's only going to get one puller. On other plays, they've had two. Now they're only going to get the left guard pulling, but it doesn't really matter because they're still able to account for everyone. The blocking scheme's only changed because the defense's alignment's changed. One more thing I want to point out about this play, on the last two, the center has been tied up, having a nose tackle either directly over him or lined up toward the play side. Here, Stanford's nose tackle is lined up to the back side of the center, and I really want to give some credit to this center right here. Look how quick he is. He's going to scoop right around that nose tackle. The right guard is going to cut that nose tackle now because he's kind of in range of him. Look at how quickly the center is able to get up and cut off that backside linebacker that we saw was unblocked on the previous play. So once Stanford uncovers that center, look at how he is able to get right up and cut off that backside linebacker. I mean, this is a really good looking picture with the tight end on one inside linebacker, the center getting up to the other one. That's going to go a long way in kind of creating this lane right here. So one more time, Stanford's got a different alignment, but the rules all stay the same. They give this blocking scheme flexibility. Wing tight end comes down on the outside linebacker. Inline tight end doesn't have an inside threat, so he's releasing up to the inside linebacker. Left tackle pins the defensive end. And then the left guard is going to be our sole puller coming around to kick out this cornerback right here. Once again, there's the lane. On this play, Stanford is doing something a little bit different with their safeties. Instead of taking this safety and spinning him down, they're leaving this linebacker out wide and underneath coverage, and they're playing more of a split safety look right here. And so what that does do is it puts this safety as an unblocked additional player to this side. This is one way that Stanford can get this safety involved in the run fit. But as we can see right here, he would need to come downhill way faster in order to stop this play. And Moore is going to do a nice job once again showing that physicality. He's not going to let a safety bring him down, right? He's going to use that stiff arm one more time, try to throw that guy off and pick up a couple extra yards after contact. So once again, we're seeing that skill set that Moore brings to the table, and we're seeing the adaptability of this pin and pull zone blocking scheme. On this play, we're going to see Stanford's most aggressive adjustment, and we're going to see the way that their aggression turns this into a massive play for the Bears. This is the longest run of the game. So, we see the same kind of formation we've been studying. We've got two tight ends at the top, two receivers at the bottom. Down here at the bottom of the screen, Stanford's doing something a lot like what they were doing on the previous play. So they're keeping this outside linebacker wide as an underneath defender, and then they're protecting him with a safety over the top, giving them to this side of the field what looks like it'd be a split safety look. The difference is they've now taken their safety and they've brought him down into the box to play as an extra defender to this side. So they're able to get an extra defender right out here on the edge to try and take away this play. But in order to do that, they bring this safety down. They do not have a safety over the top. That's going to end up being a big problem for them. Now, once again, this is a versatile blocking scheme. There's nothing that's predetermined about who pins and who pulls. It's all about what the defense does. So here the defense has that third defender on the first level in the form of that safety. They're going to play all of these guys inside to try and clog up inside gaps. So Cal's just going to pin with all three of their edge defenders. We're going to get a pin from the wing tight end, the inline tight end, and the left tackle. So all of those guys are pinning. And here we see those blocks. That's easy. Just take advantage of what the defense is giving you. They want to line up inside of you. You're going to seal them off to the inside. So there, Cal's defenders are kind of building that wall to the right side of the lane. With all three of those guys pulling or pinning, the only guy left to pull is going to be this left guard. He's going to pull around all those pins, and he's going to look for the first guy who shows up on the edge. In this case, that'll be this linebacker flying over the top of all this traffic down here at the first level. So as this play progresses, we see number 73, that's the left guard, he's pulling. We see this linebacker running out to get to the edge, and so the left guard's just going to block that guy to the outside, opening up the lane. Last but not least, once again on this play, we remember when Stanford puts their nose tackle to the back side of the center, when they do not cover up the center, they free him up to release up and try to block this backside linebacker, just like we saw in the last play. Here, once again, look at the quickness of this guy. This linebacker is going to fly across to the play side. He's seen this play a few too many times at this point, but watch how this center is able to track him. And, if this guy's going to go outside, the center's happy to block him to the outside. It doesn't much matter to him. So keep an eye on this center as he tracks this backside linebacker who's trying to get to the lane. Okay, so there's the snap. The center is working up to this linebacker. This guy is flying horizontally. Okay, he beats the center across, but the center sticks with it, blasts him to the outside, and lets that running back cut up inside of that block. So once again, a really nice block by the center right here to stick with this guy, continue tracking him, and make sure that he's not able to get to the running back. Alright, that's it for this video. For my full assessment of the Cal offense, including the rest of their run game, their sputtering passing game, and the drive that should have tied the game late, check out patreon.com/Burke18 Friday morning. But otherwise, I'll see you here next week, and go Bears!